Welcome back, friends, to this third installment of our digital series on Sabbath, or on rest and relaxation, to put it into more modern terms. Now, if you've seen the other two entries in this series, you're probably looking at the background for this one and thinking, whoa, this is different. What's the deal here? We are in the chancel area, the very front part of the sanctuary here in my congregation at Trinity United Methodist Church in Loveland, Colorado. We worship and have Sunday services in this space. But as you can see, the front part of our sanctuary doesn't look very holy right now, does it? No. It looks like a construction zone. There's dust, debris, tools, paint cans lying everywhere. What's the deal with all this? There are some odd circumstances and some big heavy things happening in the life of my church and my life personally, and they're going to play a factor in this episode. So here's the background for what you're seeing here. I filmed the previous two entries back in May and June, respectively. The idea was to have this third one published in July, right after Independence Day. That's the heart of the vacation season, so I wanted the message of all this to pair with what people would be going through. They'd be heading out to the beautiful parts of Colorado and the United States, and I wanted this message of Sabbath and peace and holiness, of connection with God, to go with them, to make that experience the deepest and best it could be. That was the idea, but it didn't end up that way. On July the 1st, we had a major plumbing malfunction here at Trinity Church. One of the water hoses feeding a toilet in our upstairs women's room disconnected. You'd have to know the layout of our building to realize how catastrophic this was, but the water from this high-powered hose flowed for about 15 hours straight. In the end, they estimated around 3,500 gallons came out of it. That water proceeded to soak basically our entire facility. 2/3 of Trinity United Methodist Church ended up basically underwater on July 1st. That literally put a halt to so many things my church was trying to do. Not only this digital devotion series, but the life of my congregation in general. We've spent the last 4 months or so worshiping with our sister Methodist congregation here in Loveland and just trying to rebuild. That's what all this construction equipment is for. That's what everything you're seeing is going towards. So yes, it's been a crazy time in the life of my church and my life as a pastor. And what I wanted to do today was to complete this series, but also to use that as a backdrop to talk about the lessons I've learned about what Sabbath really is. I've had a totally new perspective on it these past few months. Now, this is beyond the messages that Pastor Matt Miofsky has given that influenced the other two episodes. This one is coming totally from me. These are the things I've learned, the lumps I've taken these past few months, and just how I've processed Sabbath being in a time of extra craziness. So if I've learned, I'd say, two important things over the last span about rest, it's this. One, first of all, true rest only comes from God. I mean, yeah, you can sit back at the end of a busy day dealing with insurance claims and your flood recovery teams and everything else going on in the world. You can take an hour here or there to have a nap. But it is so critical to connect with God, to get that total stillness, that total refreshment, that total detachment from everything that's going on. So basically what I'm saying is my times of devotion, my times of prayer, my times of just being alone with the Spirit have been twice as important, 3 times as important to me as of late. Because it's in that sacred silence that I can truly connect into that one source of energy that never diminishes, with God, with Christ, with the Spirit who's around me. That's not been easy. So if there's one refrain you're going to get out of this last episode of this series, it's protect your rest times with your life. I say that to a lot of people, so you might have heard me say it before, but protect your times of stillness and silence with God with your life. Fortify them in your schedule. Keep them set aside for that special purpose. Even if it's hard, even if things are wild and weird in your schedule, in your life, in your church, find times to connect with God. That's the most important thing Jesus teaches us. Remember the greatest commandment from the Gospels. Jesus says, love the Lord your God with all your heart, mind, soul, and strength, and your neighbor as yourself. You got to follow that formula there to the T. Start with God. Focus on God first with all your heart, mind, soul, and strength. Then you will have the strength, then you will have the energy and endurance to love your neighbor, to love yourself, and to exist in this wild, wild world. So that's the first thing I've learned. Only God gives true rest. Come to me, those who are weary, and I will give you rest, as Jesus says in one of the Gospels, Matthew. That is so true. Only God brings true rest. And 2, the other thing I've learned is that the ones you love are often the greatest source of that divine rest. It's like I always say, God works most prominently through people. And God is most present in the people who love you for who you are and who will come to you in your time of need. That's that unconditional love that God shows to us, present in human form. So if you want to truly rest, friends, find time to connect and be solely with those people who love you, with your friends, with your family. Once more, the refrain for this episode: find those times, protect them with your life, fortify them in your schedule, make them a priority. I did that during this weird season at Trinity Church. About 3 weeks after the flood happened, I was due to go on vacation. I didn't know if I was going to. I was actually looking for ways not to go on vacation. I wanted to stay here and to be a part of this recovery effort, to be with my congregation that was struggling. But in the end, my advisors here at the church and my family convinced me, look, you got to get away. You need this break. And boy, were they right. My family and I, we went to northern New Mexico, and just that time with my wife and my daughter, the 2 people I love most in this world, away from everything, getting to hike in beautiful locales around Santa Fe, or to experience Taos and just the beauty of the Jemez Valley. That was so deeply refreshing, not just for the beautiful place we were at, but because I could reconnect with the ones who love me most, because I could just revel in that affection we share for each other. So friends, if you're looking for that in a time of craziness in your life, do what I did. Focus on the ones who love you most. Focus on people. Set aside that time, fortify it in your schedule, make sure nothing happens with it. If you do those 2 things, no matter what's going on, no matter if your church is falling apart around you, no matter if your job is going through a downturn, no matter if your family relationships are rocky, no matter what you're facing, friends, if you do those 2 things, you can find Christ's calm in the storm. You can find that tiny bit of silence in the noise. You can find that island of respite amidst it all. It may not be the total immersive rest that you need. It may not be the long winter's nap, to quote one of the Christmas poems we all love. But what it will do is it will keep you going. That small bit of respite, that rest, will be like a pit stop for your soul. It will keep you going in that race until God brings forth a time of deeper rest, until things slow down and you're able to do more for your self-care. Do those small things, connect with God, connect with people on those most basic levels, and you can get through the hardest of times. It will give you enough to get by until God gives you more. So that's my prayer for you, that we would experience those things, that we would deeply embrace the God who gives it to us, and that Sabbath would be the key that changes us all. Blessings to you, my friends.